Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sanket and this is the day 4 of our complete Linux series. Today we are going to learn about Linux networking, and this is very important topic considering you are a DevOps engineer, and I'll try to walk you through everything step by step with some real-time examples. So whether you are just getting started or want to improve your skills, this session will help you understand how to manage networking in Linux operating system. So let's get started. So let's begin this session with the basics of Linux networking. So when you work on Linux servers, you work with network stack, and this includes managing network interfaces, understanding how data flows, and using commands to control networking. So in Linux, the important components for networking are network interface, and we generally call it as NIC card. So configuring these network interfaces, and next thing is managing network services. So these are the two important things that we are going to learn in this particular session. So first part of this particular session is introduction to Linux networking. So we are going to see the overview of some basic Linux commands that we use to manage the networks. So let me quickly log into the VM that we have created earlier. Let me switch to sudo user. Okay, so currently we are in root user, and the first part of this particular session is introduction to Linux networking. So in Linux networking, we use various commands in order to manage the networks. So the first command, ifconfig command. So ifconfig command can be used to check network configurations for your Linux server. Okay, so let me just type the ifconfig command, and this will show you all the configuration that is present for your Linux operating system. Okay, so in this particular output, you can see the network interfaces. This is the network interface that we are using to manage the communication with the network, and this is the loopback address which is used for testing purpose. So if you want to learn what all types of IP addresses are available, you need to check our previous video, that is complete networking course, and you will get idea on all these things, like what is net mask, what is subnet mask, and all these things. You will get a detailed overview in that networking session, so please don't miss to watch that complete networking session. Back to this particular topic. So this is the network interface that we are using to configure the network, and here you can see the interface state. Here you can see the information, detailed information for this particular interface. Then the next command we have is IPA. So IPA is the uh, command that is generally used when you're working with networks, and ifconfig is the old command that people used to that was used earlier, but nobody really uses it these days. IPA command is generally used. IPA is the command to get network details. If you're working on CentOS RHEL operating systems, then the command is IPADDR show. So this will show you the IP addresses available on this particular Linux server. So let me just quickly enter IPA command, and here you can see a short and required information related to our networking configuration, and here you can see the same information which was displayed in ifconfig but in compact manner. And this interface enp0s3 is the interface that is configured right here, and here you can see the network NIC card status is up. So the state can be seen here. So state is up, that means this NIC card is in up state, and this NIC card or this network interface is used to manage the networking. So whatever communication will be done on this particular VM, that will be done using this network interface. Maybe it's incoming traffic or outgoing traffic that will pass through this particular interface. Currently, the state of this particular interface is up. If you want to see the network interface that are available on this particular VM and the status of those interface, you can see IP-link command. And here you can see the similar kind of output in IP-link command. So IP-link command is IP-link command is used to manage NIC cards or network interface cards. ENP0S3 interface is up. Now if you want to bring this interface down, you can do that using IP-link command. So IP-link command can be used to bring network interface card up or down as per your requirements. Let's suppose you want to bring down this particular interface, so you can do that using IP-link command. So let me quickly do that using console. So in order to perform these operations related to a network interface card, you need to take the console, because on SH session, when you bring down this particular interface, the SH session will go in hung state and you won't be able to perform any further actions. So in order to take the console, you need to open VirtualBox, and you just need to click on this show button right here, and this will open the console session for you. So this is the VM console that you need to access in order to perform network interface related operations. And when you change the NIC card configurations, the SH will be gone, and whatever actions you will do, you can do that, or you can manage the VM or network using this VirtualBox only. So let me quickly log into this particular VM. So username is background, password is background, and let me switch to root user, and let's see what all interfaces are there. So we have only one interface, and that is in upstate. So let me bring down this interface, and the command is IP-link set followed by ENP0 S3, and whether you want to bring up or down, you just need to provide right here. So I want to bring down this particular NIC card, so let me press enter here. And if you check the status now, here you can see the state is the state is changed to down. Now in order to change the status for this particular NIC card, you need to use the same command. You just need to provide up right here in the IP-link set command. So let me quickly bring up that particular NIC, and let's check the status now. And the status has been changed to up, and let me try to access the SH session once again. And here you can see whatever we have typed has been written. So this way you can manage the interfaces or NIC cards for your particular VM. Then the next command is IP route. So if you want to check the routes configured on your VM, this is the command, and you can see through which route your communication will be done. So routes are nothing but gateways, and when you send your request in the network, the communication will be done. So communication will be done. So your request will go from various routers in order to reach to destination. So let's check what is the route configured on this particular device. So here you can see 10.0.2.2 is the route that is configured on this particular VM, and the IP address is 10.0.2.15 for this particular Linux VM. There is a route command that you can use to check the routes available on this particular VM. So here you can see the routes that are configured on this particular VM. So this is all about basic commands in Linux. networking topic. The next part of this particular session is configuring network interfaces. So here we have seen that we have this interface that is available for this particular VM ENP0S3. So this is the interface that is available on this particular VM ENP0S3, and we need to configure this NIC card. You need to change the configuration for this particular network interface configuration file. In IP route command, you can see that this particular IP is configured with DHCP protocol, and DHCP is dynamic host control protocol. So IPs gets assigned automatically by the VM or by the router to this particular VM. So in DHCP, the IP addresses are assigned dynamically and automatically. And if we have a requirement to change the IP address for this particular VM, then in that case, you need to change the protocol to static from DHCP, because in static you need to provide the manual IP address. So let me quickly change the IP address for these network interfaces. So configuration files have been given here. For Ubuntu, the configuration file is /etc/netplan/50cloud-init.yaml. For CentOS, RHEL, and Fedora operating systems, the configuration file is present at /etc/network/etc/sysconfig/network script followed by ifcfg 8h0. So this is the path where you will find the configuration files. We are currently using Ubuntu operating system, so we need to make changes in this particular configuration file. So let me take a backup for this particular file, and %f, and let's check whether the backup is taken properly or not. Yeah, so here you can see we have taken a backup with today's date, and let me now configure the network interface configuration for this particular VM. So the static IP that we are going to assign is 10.0.2.10, and first thing we will disable the DHCP configuration which is available for this particular VM. Okay, next thing is we need to add addresses section here, and let me add this particular IP. So IP address that we are going to assign is 10.0.2.10 10.0.2.10/24, and let me configure the route. So the default route that we are going to add for this particular IP is 10.0.2.1. so let's quickly configure this route. So this is the route through which the communication will be done. Then let's configure the name servers as well. So these are the name servers that are being used to access the internet. So these are the addresses for Google DNS. So 8.8.8.8 followed by 8.8.4.4. So once you configure this name servers, you will be able to access the internet, and we will keep the remaining configuration as is. The MAC address will be physical address, and I'm not going to make any changes to this particular address. So this is all. Let me save the configuration, and to apply these changes, so the command is netplan followed by apply, and this will apply the changes to this particular NIC or this particular VM. So once we change the IP, we might lose the SSH session. So let me quickly jump to this console and let's check whether the IP is changed or not. And here you can see the new IP is assigned to this particular VM. 10.0.2.10 is the IP that we have configured right here. This is all about configuring the network interface. For this particular session, we will use the DHCP address only. So let me quickly revert the changes back to the DHCP one. So okay, so let me copy that backup file to the current configuration cp, and the command is cp followed by backup file, and followed by the original configuration file, net plan apply. So here we have configured back our existing configuration, that is DHCP configuration. And if you check the IP now, here you can see the default IP has been assigned back to this particular VM. So this is all about configuring network interfaces, and as per the requirement you can perform this configuration. If you want to check whether the configuration that you have done under this configuration file is correct or not, the command is netplan retry. So this will validate the configuration for your NIC cards. So let me quickly enter netplan retry. Invalid choice. Okay, the command is netplan try, and this will show you if there's any errors or anything. This will show you. If you want to accept this the current configuration, you can press enter right here, and this will accept the current configuration. So this is all about this particular session, that is configuring network interface. So the part 3 of this particular session is networking tools and commands. So commonly used commands for troubleshooting are given right here. So let's suppose if I want to check whether the Google is accessible from my this particular VM or not, or whether if I want to check Google or internet basically is accessible from my VM or not, the command is ping, and this will check the connectivity with destination server, and you need to provide the destination server. So to check connectivity, ping command is used. So let me quickly try ping command right here. So ping followed by google.com, and here I can able to connect to Google server, and I'm getting the response back from Google server. And here you can see the details like 3 packets has been transmitted, 3 received, 0% packet loss, and these are the details that have been taken while sending the packets from our source server, that is our Linux VM, to destination server, that is google.com. The next command is trace route. So trace route command is used to trace the routes or routers that are in between your source and destination. So let me quickly check the trace route for google.com, and it will show me what all. So trace route command is not available. Let me quickly install this command. So let me check what all routers or gateways are in between from my VM to google.com or Google server. So here you will see the detailed routes that are in between. So here you can see we are getting stars in the output. That means so here you can see we are getting only stars. The hop only shows stars. That means device doesn't respond to this particular VM, doesn't respond to trace route packets. The next command in our list is nslookup. Nslookup stands for name server lookup, and when you want to check the DNS mappings for particular IP or domain name, in that case you can use nslookup command. Nslookup followed by domain name will give you the IP address for this particular domain name. So nslookup followed by google.com has given me the IP address of Google. So this is the IPv4, this is the IPv6. So let me now try to check. So what is the domain name assigned for this particular IP address? So it should give me the google.com only. So let's see. So this is the name that has been given to this particular IP, and uh, let me check the IP assigned for this particular domain name. And here you can see for like, so this is the IP of this particular device, and it has a canonical name google.com. So google.com is resolving to this particular IP. This IP is resolving to this particular device, which is the original device, and this particular device has the canonical name google.com. So this way you can check the IP addresses of any domain names. So this is all about nscope name server lookup. Next command is netstat command. So check if you want to check the active connections on your system or on your Linux VM, then in that case you can use netstat command. So let suppose you are running a Apache server and you want to check whether Apache server is listening to web request or not. So that thing you can check using netstat command, and it will show the active connections for Apache if it's running. Let me quickly run the netstat command, and the flags that we will pass is TULPN. T for TCP, U for UDP, L for ports that are listening, and N and P we can check in the help section. So these are the commonly used flags that along with netstat command, and here you can see the N is used for numeric notations and P is used for programs. So it displays the program name along with netstat. So let me run the netstat -tulpn command and check whether SSD is running or not. So here you can see SSD uh, is running and it is currently in listen state, and it's available on TCP as well as TCP/6. So these are the two connections that are open for SSD, and user can connect to any one of this particular session. So user can connect to user can connect through IPv4 as well as IPv6. So this is all about networking tools and commands that are being used on day-to-day basis. Next part of this particular session is networking services in Linux operating system. So the networking service in this particular Linux VM is systemd networkd. Let's check the status of this particular service, and here the service is in running state, and you can see the different logs for this particular VM. If you want to check detailed logs, the command is generalctl -u followed by this particular service -f, and this will show the detailed log for this particular service. So this is all about part 4 of this particular session, that is network services. The part 5 of this particular session is networking security, and in security we are going to cover firewall configuration for Linux operating system. So in Ubuntu operating system, it makes use of EFW, firewall, and the command to check whether the firewall is running for your particular VM or not. The command is EFW status. So here you can see the firewall is disabled and firewall is in inactive state. So let me quickly enable the firewall. Yes, let's check the status. Now firewall is active state. If you want to enable Apache service to communicate through this particular VM, and it doesn't find the Apache profile, here you can see only OpenSSH is the predefined profile for this particular VM. So in order to add any rule inside this firewall, you can make use of this particular command. So let me quickly run this command ufw allow 22 TCP. So this will make sure that this 22 port will be opened on this particular VM. This 22 port will be opened on this particular VM to communicate with external request or to communicate with external traffic. So in this particular example, I want to allow Apache ports. So Apache runs on HTTP port 80, and the secure version of HTTP runs on port 443. So let's add those ports for this particular VM. So the command is ufw allow 80, and the protocol that is going to be used is TCP. So rule is added for version 4 IPv4 as well as IPv6. Let me also add 443. So we have added rules for HTTP as well as HTTPS. So the services running, the web services or Apache services running on this particular VM will be accessible from outside world, and external requests, if they are hitting on 480 or 443, then they will be able to communicate now, because these ports are allowed in firewall. There is a requirement to only run website on HTTPS, that is secure version of HTTP. Then you need to remove this port, and the command is ufw deny 80, and this will make sure that ufw deny 80 will make sure that no external request will be allowed on this particular VM. So before running this command, let me check the current status of firewall rules available on this particular VM. So here you can see these are the rules, or these are the rules that are configured on this particular VM, and we have allowed port 84443 for IPv4 and IP6 v6 communication. So let me quickly remove this port 80, and the command to remove that is ufw deny. So all communication on port 80 or on HTTP protocol will be denied now. So rule is updated, and here you can see all HTTP communication is denied. So this way you can add and update the rules as per requirement in your local firewall. So this is the local firewall, which is, or host based firewall, which is software firewall. If you want to restrict the traffic at network level, then you need to consider a network firewall. So we are not going to cover that. This is a software firewall or host based firewall, and that can be configured using UFW in Ubuntu based operating system. If you are using CentOS, RHEL, or Fedora operating systems, then the commands are given in the notes, and you can follow these notes in order to configure these firewall rules on your particular VM. So this is pretty much about networking security and firewall configuration. We also have one more concept in networking security, that is IP tables. So if you want to provide more fine-grained control over networking traffic, then in that case you can configure IP tables, and you can see the list of IP tables that are configured to your VM using IP tables -l command. So this will list what all, like all the rules, IP table rules that are configured for your VM. So there is a long list of these rules. We are not going to cover each and everything, but yeah, if you want to allow like HTTP traffic using IP tables, then the command is this one. So simply this command represents that accept the traffic on port 80 on this particular VM. So let's save the configuration and check whether the port 80 is added or not. And here you can see our entry is added in the IP tables. The next topic of this particular session is troubleshooting network issues. So on a daily day-to-day basis, you will get a lot of network issues related to different things, and you should have the enough knowledge to perform the troubleshooting or diagnosis of such issues. So like we can take a number of scenarios, but uh, just to keep this session short and crisp, we are just taking two commands or two like scenarios right here. If you have any typical scenario that you want us to cover, you can post it in the comment section. For now, we will cover only these two scenarios. So first scenario is check if the network interface is up or not. So uh, let's suppose if I bring down this particular network interface, IP link set enp0s3 and down, and if I try to access this particular VM and we are unable to like access the SSH, So such kind of issues you will get, like whether the interface goes down, or whether interface may goes down due to a number of issues. If there is, like, there might be issues with your operating system, or there might be issues with networking services, because of which your network interface may go down. And in order to check that particular thing, you need to take the console of your VM, and you need to check the status of your Linux network interface card. So here you can see that the NIC card is in down state, and because of which our we are unable to take the SH session, and the SH session we have previously taken is in hung state. So what we can do is we can just simply go and take a console of this particular session, and we can bring up that particular NIC interface or network interface. So command is ip-link set followed by the interface name 0s3, and just need to bring up this particular enp 0s3, and you can check the status now. enp 0s3 ip-link set enp 0s3 up, and here you can see the state is up now for this network interface. And let's check, and here you can see you can able to take the SH session now. So this is about like first scenario. The second scenario is to check system logs for network related messages. So dmessage is the command which is generally used to check the system related logs. And let me quickly bring down network interface once again, and the network interface is currently in down state. And let me check the dmessage, what dmessage is printing for my network interface. So enp0s3. So here you can see the current status of your network interface. So let me bring the network interface once again. So let me bring up this network interface once again, and you will see that you will see the status in the message that this NIC card is up, and the flow control is RX, and it says that links become ready. So it simply says that this NIC is up now, and it is ready to accept the requests. It is ready to accept the request. So this is all for this particular session. If you have any particular scenarios or particular requests that you want me to cover, then please post those scenarios, network based scenarios or questions in the comment section, and I'll be happy to cover those scenarios in the next session. So that's it for today's session on Linux networking. We have covered the basic networking commands, tools, services, and security settings for Linux operating system. I hope you found this video helpful. If you like the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe the channel, and make sure to hit the bell icon to get notified of our next videos in this particular Linux complete series. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.